one of the most humbling experiences is rehabbing an injury. Because your ego wants you to think you can do a certain thing, but you can't physically. Your body is not prepared to do that, so you have to take these unreasonably small steps.
But it takes humility to say, you know what, in 2024, I'm going to try to do one a month. I'm going to see if I can do one a month. And then if I prove to myself I can do one a month, maybe in 2025, I'll bump it to bi-weekly. I think all of that is humility, but I don't think that's what people think of when they see humility. Humility looks different from the outside in than from the inside out.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was episode number 1545, yesterday's episode. What's always been true about you? Another deep episode. We got some deep episodes towards the end of the week. Today, for episode number 1546, one big thing that holds us back from starting. I was on a podcast the other day. We were talking a lot about imposter syndrome. And we just went deep on imposter syndrome and not believing in yourself and limiting beliefs and all these things. And I said, one of the interesting things that I think we forget is when you're first starting something, yes, it takes courage, it takes bravery, it takes vulnerability, but it also takes extreme humility. And Ellen and I came to this thought together, so I can't claim that I came up with that myself. But it takes extreme humility to say, I don't really believe that I'm that great of a speaker, but let me practice speaking into the mirror by myself. Or let me record a video of myself on my phone and then maybe have the courage later to watch it. We see people taking these really big steps and these what seems like grand actions, when for most of us in the beginning, we have to take something that probably seems like we're going backwards. Or it's the thought of, how is me doing this so what's the word I'm looking for? Insignificant. This insignificant action that's not going to bring me any results. How is this actually going to help me in the future? And it can be very, very negative. It can feel very negative. It can feel like you're going backwards. It can feel like you're beyond small. So we want to do an episode on the one big thing that holds many of us back from starting is having the hyper humility to say, it almost seems like I'm going backwards and this isn't going to help me at all. But I also understand that this very, very, very small thing can be the first domino in a bunch of dominoes that help me get to success eventually.
The other piece of it too is, if you have the humility to say, okay, I'm going to try to work out for 20 minutes today, versus January 1st, I'm going to work out 5 days a week for an hour and a half, and I'm going to get on this new program, and I'm going to buy these new supplements, and I'm going to get this new gym outfit. All those things can help. Gym outfit, supplements, I'm not against those. But it takes humility to say, I'm going to see if I can do this for 20 minutes today. And then do that again tomorrow. And then do that again the next day. And maybe a week goes by or 2 weeks, and then you say, I'm going to try to see if I can do 30 minutes. And then another week goes by. And then you try to do, and I actually did this, I tried to do 45 minutes. I'm going to try to do 45 minutes a day. And then it takes humility, and I did this as well, to go, honestly, I don't know if 45 is as sustainable. I don't think I can do 45. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the minimum 30. And sometimes I'm going to do 45 when I'm feeling it. And I just think that humility, I told Kevin this earlier today via text. I don't know if I was ever sold on the value of humility. I don't think I understood what it really was. And then one more layer too, there's a difference between outward humility and inward humility. I think outward humility is not bragging, not being boastful, sometimes being self-deprecating, being modest. Oh, no, no. Versus inward humility is, I'm going to get a therapist because I want to work on myself. I want to buy this book because I want to keep learning because I don't think I'm smart enough yet. I don't think I'm smart enough yet is humility. It's humble. I already know all the answers. I got off a podcast pre-call earlier, and this person is not humble. And it was hard for me because there's this part of me, and this is scary to share, I'm leagues ahead of this person in podcasting. But she was acting like she was ahead of me. And she was not humble enough to face that I actually, listen, I don't need your help in that. I could tell. It's like, stop trying to guide me. I'm ahead of you. And whenever you're with someone where you feel like the need to say that, it's not even worth it. It's just sail away. It's probably not aligned, blah, blah, blah. And I don't even think this person's conscious of it, but it's like, listen, if you had done your research, you would know the answers to these questions. You would know X, Y, Z. And so humility is a superpower. I am so convinced of it for a couple reasons. Number one, you will actually build self-belief because you will set achievable goals. It takes humility to say, I'm going to work out for 20 minutes today. And then when you keep that promise, you build self-belief. And then the next day, 20 minutes. You keep that promise and you build self-belief. The next day, 20 minutes. Then when you have enough belief, then you say 30 minutes. But if you lose your humility, you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to bump it to an hour and a half. And I'm guilty of this all the time. I was like, I'm going to write my blog every 2 weeks for the rest of my life. I'm going to write every day and I'm going to write 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, I'm going to publish a blog. I failed at that. That was my goal in 2023. I got to blog 14 and I could not sustain it. And there was a moment of failure where I was like, I am super humbled. I cannot keep this up. There's no way. December is too crazy. I got too much going on. And I underestimated what this was going to take. And that tends to be my tendency. I tend to be very confident. And I tend to be overly confident at times. But it takes humility to say, you know what? In 2024, I'm going to try to do one a month. I'm going to see if I can do one a month. And then if I prove to myself I can do one a month, maybe in 2025, I'll bump it to bi-weekly. I think all of that is humility, but I don't think that's what people think of when they see humility. Humility looks different from the outside in than from the inside out. That's my thesis for this episode.
I think what you're talking about is I am capable of less than my ego wants me to think I am.
Yeah.
That's humility. Mm-hmm. That admittance factor. Every time I say admittance factor, I think of mittens. A mittens factory for gloves. I was listening to a book the other day, and I heard a word that I've heard many times, but I don't know if I ever really fully understood. Hubris. Hubris.
Go ahead.
Hubris.
I don't know if I know either, to be honest. I mean, I think I do, but I don't probably.
What would you guess? Might as well do it.
I would say hubris is something to do with thinking something about yourself that's not true. Something like that?
Hubris from ancient Greek describes a personality quality of extreme or excessive pride or dangerous overconfidence and complacency, often in combination or synonymous with arrogance.
Right.
So I would say that was pretty accurate. The reason
That's exactly what I said, right?
Yeah, you said that word for word. They were talking about ancient leaders in the book, one of the books you suggested to me, How the Mighty Fall. It's a business book.
Yes.
And the hubris is almost, no matter what, this cannot fail. Mm-hmm. The humility is, we can do everything right, and there still is going to be some level of quote-unquote failure or not living up to what we actually want to happen. The humility is having the ability to continue, even when things do go wrong. It's just admitting that things are not going to go 1,000% the way I want them to, but even when they don't, I'll recoup, I'll lick my wounds, and then I'll do it again, and the same thing is going to happen. I really think that's what it is. And I think it's also being honest with what is. I think humility is admitting what is. Mm-hmm. That's why you saying, I want to do one every other week, but honestly, what is right now is I'm just not capable of doing it to the degree I want to do it with everything else going on. Let me be humble and say, well, based on my new understanding, my new awareness, I think I can do one a month. I actually think I'm capable of that with what I know, and then we'll see what happens. If you can't do that, maybe the new level of humility is maybe it's every other month. I don't think that'll happen, but it's so important because it helps us start small, and I think it also helps us restart. I don't know if have you ever had a surgery that required physical therapy?
No, but I did go to, no, I didn't go. I was supposed to go for my ankle. It didn't do it.
Hey everybody, my name is Bianca and I am the co-founder and COO of Evolve Ventures Technologies. The only reason I'm able to do the things that I'm able to do today is because of the guidance that Alan gave and how much he never gave up on me, even when I wanted to. If you are looking for a coach, if you're looking for a mentor, there is no one better than Alan. There's nobody who's done more research. There's nobody who's put in more effort than him. He will go above and beyond to make sure that you become everything you've ever dreamed of. And I'm the proof. Alan, you changed my life, and I will forever be grateful for you.
One of the most humbling experiences is rehabbing an injury.
Yeah.
Because your ego wants you to think you can do a certain thing, but you can't physically. Your body is not prepared to do that, so you have to take these unreasonably small steps. I remember when I got shoulder surgery, it was probably like 18 or 19, and I went from shoulder pressing the 100-pound dumbbells in each arm to doing I think a 2-pound dumbbell at the beginning of rehab again.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It was so challenging from an ego level.
And by ego, what we're talking about here is identity. The identity that you held before that was I'm strong, I'm jacked, I'm awesome for being able to do the 100-pound dumbbells. And some of that is positive pride of you've earned that. That's awesome. You know, the other part of that is, listen, if you're trying to hang on to that, you're in trouble because you're going to re-injure your shoulder. And so humility has utility. That rhymed really nicely. Humility has utility in the sense that if you're not humble, you're going to re-injure your shoulder. But if you're so humble that you never try to get back to where you were, and that's why I think humility is the sweet spot between overly confident and not confident enough. I think humility is the drive to 5 of, okay, I was overly confident for bi-weekly blogs, but maybe once a month is the sweet spot. And we'll find out. And when I try it, or maybe it's too scarce. Maybe I'm capable of more. You know, and no. I think we all tend to be on one end or the other. And so humility is not just owning your weaknesses, it's also owning your strengths. And that part never really made sense to me fully. It's admitting what is. If I am being a bad partner to Emilia, owning that and then working on it is humility. But in the past, when I was with a bad partner, even though I was being a great partner, humility is also realizing I shouldn't be here. And I've made a poor choice to be here. I think it's admittance. Now you have me thinking admittance. Now it's admittance. It's admitting that you're great, and it's also admitting that you're not. So admitting whatever's true. I made a poor choice to be with this person in my past. I'm thinking about my past, and I hope everyone's thinking about their past or their current or whatever it is. I made a poor choice. I even said that to Emilia last night. I said, I'm having trouble with this person. And not to Emilia. I'm not having any trouble with Emilia. Fortunately, I shouldn't say no trouble, but very, very little, very minimal. But I'm talking about this person that I'm having a hard time with. And I said, sweetheart, the truth of the matter is, I knew this would happen, and I did nothing about it. This is my fault. That's humility. This is my fault. I know that. I had this intuition 7 months ago, and I did nothing about it. Oh my God, you know, and the humility to be like, honestly, this is my fault. It is. I could have easily just stopped working with this person. but I didn't.
I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast. There was somebody reached out to me that was going to start a podcast. We did several calls, a lot of communication. And they messaged me back a couple months later and said, things have changed and I'm not going to do the podcast anymore. But since I paid, what should we do? And I sat with that for a second. And normally I get triggered. Like, that's a trigger thing for me of, oh my goodness, I'm going to disappoint this person. It's a whole thing. And I sent them a message back and I said, my truth is, and I said, I want to make sure that we get to whatever we come to, whatever resolution we come to is a win-win. And I want to make sure you feel seen, heard, and I want whatever we land on to be fair. From my perspective, what's fair is we did 2 calls and we did a lot of prep work. And I would say I probably wouldn't give you any money back based on the amount of work we did. And I said, but what's your truth? And they sent me an audio back and they said, well, this. And they didn't really get to a resolution. So I said, well, think on it and let me know what you think is fair. And until I hear from you, I'll do nothing different. Just let me know what you think is fair. And I told Alan after, I said, that was very big for me. Because it wasn't from an ego place of, I'm not giving you've been a pain and this and that and that. I'm not giving you your money back. Or not even answering the message and just saying, I'm not even going to worry about this. That's arrogant. Self-deprecating would be, I'm so sorry you're disappointed and you haven't had a perfect experience. I'm going to give you all your money back. I would have done that in the beginning for sure. I think the humility is, I understand the way you're feeling. And I understand you don't have a real thing in the world, a physical thing that you thought, but also my time is valuable.
Yeah, and where's your ownership for deciding to do this and then pivoting? Why do we take the L?
That's a piece of it too.
Yeah.
That's a piece of it too. And that's what I was trying to relay in the message of, I understand you decided to go in a different direction, but that doesn't mean we didn't as a team put in work to get you in the direction you wanted to go in the first place. Mm-hmm. So the goal with that and the goal with that story is just the humility is this is my truth, not my ego, not my trigger. I'm not triggered. This isn't my ego. My truth is this is the actual facts of what happened. I want the facts of what you feel happened, and then I think we have to meet somewhere in the middle. So does that mean we're going to give you all your money back, or you're not going to get any of your money back? Probably not. I think we're probably going to meet somewhere in the middle. And the truth is, most likely, one of us will end up less aligned than the other one. That's a deeper conversation. Go ahead.
Do you think you have a call soon? So
yeah.
Last question. Do you think that I just had a moment where humility and responsibility are very tied together? The more humility someone has, I'm going to shout out Brandon again. Brandon is very humble, wonderful person. He takes ownership. He doesn't point at NLU for his problems. He doesn't point at me. He doesn't, well, you didn't coach me well enough, or you didn't, but it's like, listen, man, he actually messaged me recently. He's like, listen, I've been a little MIA. I really need some help. I'm struggling with some stuff. Can we get on the calendar? Because I had to cancel some of the coaching sessions this week with the holiday event coming up. And he wasn't entitled about it.
Yeah.
He was very humble of, listen, I know you're busy. I value your time. I would just really appreciate it if we could, get on the calendar again. I'm really struggling. It was very humble. It wasn't, you owe me coaching. How dare you cancel a session? Blah, blah, blah. Whereas in the past, there have been people who have been very attacky and entitled about stuff. And I just think at the end of the day, Brandon takes a lot of responsibility for his own outcomes. When things don't go well, he doesn't blame other people, Just like me with that person, it's like, listen, because Emilia was upset. She's like, well, this, blah, blah. It's like, sweetheart, in the truth of the matter underneath all this is I made a choice to work with this person. And that's on me. I could have easily chosen not to. I should have. I knew not to. And so at the end of the day, I think responsibility, I don't know if you can take responsibility without humility.
Well,
that's my new thesis.
You can take too much responsibility, though.
That's another episode.
I know, yeah. And that's really what I was trying to say with that story of I could take all the responsibility and just say, yeah, you know what? I want to make sure you had a 10 out of 10 experience. We'll just eat the money. I don't think that's the way I should do it.
Yeah.
If it was a different circumstance.
Well, if she took no responsibility, that person, And you
Fair.
would have to take all the responsibility, or maybe that might be your tendency. So I think, it's a drive to 5 for sure.
That would be my normal tendency for sure. Now, let's say some emergency happened and there was a tragedy, that would be different.
Right.
It might be, the humility might be, you know what? Even if you wanted to do this, you're unable based on your circumstances. Yeah, it would be more aligned for me to give you all of your money back.
Mm-hmm.
That would be what would feel best for me. So, yeah, maybe we'll have to do humility part 2. Most likely, this is one of those deep episodes. Next Level Nation, we have to bounce because I have a coaching call after this. As much as I am enjoying the longer episodes, I think the last one was like 28 minutes. The one before it was 30 some odd minutes. Let us know if you like the longer ones. I know Alan does. Tomorrow, for episode number 1547, scarcity, abundance, and how they affect your growth. That is what we're going to do tomorrow. If you have not joined our private Facebook group yet, Next Level Nation, please do so. We would absolutely love to have you in there, and maybe we can further the conversation around ego, around entitlement, around humility. We can do that in Next Level Nation. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Stay humble. Next Level Nation.